I'm not late. Remember, I am part Brazilian. Brazilians are never on time, man. They're never on time. If you want to know how late a Brazilian normally is, schedule a barbecue, a party, put it at 9 p.m. or whatever, and see what time they arrive. You'll get lucky if they get there before 11. So the
To be
fact that
fair,
I
when
was,
I visited you in Orlando, you were pretty on time, to be fair.
well, it's the American part. We're more on time. But Brazilians usually, when we have Brazilian friends or anything, anyone around, friends, family, it's like this. Oh, we want to eat lunch at 3 p.m. You schedule them at like 1:30, and they'll get there like at 3:30. So they'll get a little bit late. So we're on time. We're on time. And today is the last day that, at least for me, and I think Pete as well, is the last day we're going to be celebrating the U.S. men's national team being freed from Gregg Berhalter. We're going to obviously, from time to time, still reference a few things that happened, and we're going to look forward to new coaches, and hopefully not. Hopefully, the U.S. Federation doesn't make the same mistake again or a similar mistake. But essentially, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to go through Berhalter's not top 10. For anyone that remembers, I don't know if ESPN still does this, but back when I was in high school, I was talking to Pete about this. When I was in high school, every lunch break, we would look forward to the ESPN top 10 and the not top 10. And today we want to do a Gregg Berhalter not top 10, which is essentially the worst moments of his time during the U.S. men's national team as the U.S. men's national team coach. And trust me, there's a lot more than 10. There's a lot more than 10. And if we didn't cap it on 10, Pete, we'll go like 100.
Oh, I mean, so I did a 20 alone, just me. So between you and I, we're going to do another 20. But when I was trying to make my list, I got like 40 that I had to pick from. So
Yeah. I made 10 here, and they're not really ranked by any means. I'm just going to go through 10, and you're going to give me 10. And everyone that's in the chat, you can give us your not top 10 for Berhalter. And if you're rewatching this, put it in the comment section, your top 10 worst Berhalter moments during his time as the U.S. men's national team coach, which I know there's plenty. Why don't we start to it? And everyone drop a like in the stream if you haven't already. This is the last stream that we're going to be celebrating Berhalter's departure from the national team. Then after that, we'll be looking forward. Pete, my number one that I want to talk about, and again, or shall I say number 10, like it doesn't matter the order from my end, is the U.S. men's national team rotation lineup against Panama in 2021. So the U.S. men's national team won the first game of that window. I believe we defeated Jamaica.
2-0, yeah, with a
2-0
peppy
Jamaica.
with a peppy brace.
Yes, peppy brace. That's right. And then Gregg Berhalter in 2021 had this genius idea of in World Cup qualifying, rotating the team in the worst way possible. And he put it this monstrosity of a lineup right here that we went to face Panama away. And guess what? We lost. We lost the game. Jassi Zardes scored an own goal, and we lost the Panama away. Look at this monstrosity.
But
Look at the
not only
lineup.
did we lose, we didn't have a single shot on target. I think it's one of the only actual games in his tenure where we had 0 shots on target.
Dude, he started a mid. Look, let's go. The fullbacks, Shaq Moore and George Bello.
Oh, God.
Those were the fullbacks. We're not done here. Center back, Mark McKenzie and Zimmerman, which honestly, when you look at other ones, McKenzie and Zimmerman doesn't even sound that bad when you look at the other ones. Midfield, Acosta and Leggett in that midfield. Poor Yunus Musa. Poor Yunus Musa. The dude was like sacrificed for it. What is going on here? And then the front three of that lineup for Berhalter was Weah, poor Tim Weah. That's probably why Weah punched the Panamanian player. He was just reminded him of this game.
Weah also scored in this game, remember? Oh, no, this wasn't this game. Never mind. That was Jamaica. Never mind. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah. Well, he didn't score against Jamaica. He scored against Jamaica away.
Yeah, Jamaica away when we drew 1-1. He scored. I got mixed up. No, we did not score at all in this.
Paul Riola and Jassi Zardes, and that was Berhalter's rotation. I don't even remember the subs. The subs were Brendan Aronson, Tyler Adams, DeAndre Yellen, Roldan, and Pepe. Even the subs, man, besides Tyler and Pepe, and even Tyler, what the heck is Tyler going to do in that mid? Because I think he took out Musa and he put Tyler, right?
He took out Musa, and I think he brought on Roldan and Tyler Adams. When we needed a goal, he brought on a defensive midfielder, right? Now, Musa's not necessarily an attacking midfielder, but he's at least box to box. He brought on a defensive midfielder and Christian Roldan.
Dude, so at one moment in this game, we had Tyler Adams, Kellen Acosta, and Leggett as the midfield. Oh my goodness. let's get this off screen. That was my first out of the 10 that I wanted to talk about. What's yours? Give us one.
So my next one is actually the game right after this. It's not necessarily, I don't have, mine aren't in order, but the game right after this was a home game against Costa Rica. Okay, who were not looking very good. And he was started in the lineup. When the lineup came out, it was Paul Arriola on the right wing instead of Tim Weah. So he benched Tim Weah, not Paul. After that performance, he benched Weah. And then, unfortunately for Paul Arriola, he got injured in the warm-up, so he had to put on Tim Weah. Tim Weah went on to be involved in both goals that we scored against Costa Rica. The first one he set up for Serginho Dest, and the second one was an own goal that he ran through a lot of players, shot, it hit the post, and it bounced off the defender and went in. So we might not have won that game if we hadn't started Tim Weah, and we weren't going to. We were going to start Paulie Nips, who had been useless for years, useless, and we were already saying, what is he doing on the team, right? Thankfully, the soccer god saved us. Otherwise, we may not have won that game.
Or the soccer gods didn't save us, because then we maybe would have got Greg fired earlier. But the main, I remember that he didn't really start Weah over Arriola until Arriola got injured in a warm up. That's essentially
Right.
the overall case of what happened. But everyone, make sure to drop a like in the video if you haven't already. Get those likes up. It's a great way to help the channel. And then Nate said ESPN just reported that the U.S. men's national team approached Klopp. Guys, we won't talk much about Klopp here. We just did a stream on Pete's channel, 11 Yanks, covering the whole thing about Klopp. So you can go to 11 Yanks. We covered the whole thing. To make this story short here, it looks like it's not happening as expected. Okay, the other one I want to bring up, Pete, is the following. Let me see if I can bring it up. There it is. The World Cup. The World Cup. This moment right here for Berhalter. This is a classic Berhalter move. We're tying Wales 1-1, opening the World Cup. It's 1-1 after Walker Zimmerman just had a moronic penalty kick on Gareth Bale. 1-1. 2 minutes to go. Which, even if Wales was tired at that point, he had Gio on the bench, by the way, but he was not happy with Gio in training. He was not happy with Gio.
After he told him he would have a limited role.
Yeah, he wasn't happy with Gio. So what he did was, 2 minutes left in the game, he sends in Jordan Morris. And it's incredible, because I've never seen a player look so lost in so limited minutes. I thought he was just going to ghost, but he didn't just ghost. He even became a meme. There's that meme where he's like turning, and it's just...
Yeah, he did a full 360-degree turn while the ball was bouncing, like looking for it.
It's unreal. This was another... So this is another one for me. This was my number 9, I guess. Well, number 2 out of the 10. Wales, 1-1, and then he takes out Tim Weah. Regardless of Weah being tired or not, what's the point, right? He did. This is true. This was his justification. He said that he put Morris because he was power and speed.
He said pace and power, but yeah,
pace and power,
speed, pace, same thing.
Yeah. So
they asked him. They said, "Why didn't you bring Gio Reyna on?" And he thought, "Well, Gio Reyna has no pace, which is nonsense, or power." Yeah.
So there you have it, Gregg Berhalter. Another not top 10 from Berhalter, the infamous pace and power moment.
And by the way, they tried to get Jordan Morris for this Olympics in 2024.
They did. Which is even worse now.
Man's barely good in MLS anymore, guys. It's over. It's a long over. What are we doing? Should I give my next one?
Yes. So
we know that for a long time, Berhalter loves his bounce passes, right? Became a meme, kind of. Watke did videos about it. Look, the bounce passes were cringy and weird, but nothing was more cringy than going on Fox in an actual interview with Alexi Lalas. Gregg Berhalter tries to justify the bounce pass as a game-winning strategy. They had a ball ready for him and everything to show the difference between throwing the ball directly to a player, which is a straight line. Okay, this is simple physics, Mr. Berhalter. A straight line. If I throw the ball to you, Tack, chest to chest, that's a straight line, right? That's the quickest, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. This we learned in second grade science. And he's trying to say it's faster if I bounce it on the floor and it goes up to you, because now you're in a better position to throw it over your head. Even if that was true, okay? It's not true. But even if it was true, we actually went on Fox to talk about his strategy of why his bounce passes are so genius and so important. And it's not even true. And here's the other thing. If it was true, why did he stop doing it? If it was really giving us such an edge, because in his second cycle, he did no bounce passes, right? So if it was true, why did he stop doing it? Just what an absolute cringe moment for your national team coach to be trying to convince, Fox and fans everywhere that the reason he does bounce passes is not because he's a major dork, but because it actually helps us win games.
And Alexi Lala's going with it, Pete, by the way.
And Alexi Lala's justifying it. I mean, they had the ball ready, so they clearly talked about it in the moment, right?
Do you think I can show the clip here? Do you think there would be an issue if I show the clip?
I don't think so. Show it.
Here's the clip, everyone. This was very cringeworthy, and I shared it on Twitter a while back.
Behind the back pass and the what do you call it? The Berhalter bounce.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
All right, so I'm going to show you something right here. Now, you want to take a throw in.
Right.
You want to take a throw in, right? Okay. You're going to take the throw.
I'm going to take the
So I throw it like that.
Okay.
Now what do you have to do? Okay. Now I do it like this. Now what's easier to get the throw in quicker?
Got it. Okay. So you're using the bounce to
Exactly.
inertia to come back.
Gives it exactly. Instead of them having to go like that. Exactly.
Right. So
now you go like that, and it's right there.
okay. But now
The
what about
speed
the
of getting
behind
the
the back?
ball.
What do we look?
So
are you just
again,
saving
it's
time, or is it all style?
it's a speed. So if I'm getting the ball here, if it's coming out of bounds there, this ball's a little dead. You're gonna.
It's all right. But,
So if it's coming out of bounds there, it's something like that.
Oh, wow.
right.
The worst part to me is like Alexi and David Mossy kind of like, oh wow, someone said, oh wow. They're like, yeah, they're like impressed, like, wow, this guy knows his shit.
I know, that's the worst thing. That's the worst part. Is they're like, oh, how is science not kicking? Did you even see when he bounced it up to Alexi? Like, it clearly took longer. Remember, he went like this, and he caught it, and it was fast. And the bounce took long. Like, it so clearly took longer to bounce it.
But like, why is no one in that show? Like, why isn't Alexi and Dave Moss just like, Greg, you're full of shit?
So can you imagine in Brazil, right? Like if Chichi had been doing that during the World Cup and he went on, what's the most popular sports channel in Brazil?
Maybe Rede Globo or like Neto.
And he's trying to justify that. He would be so clowned, not only by the media, but the fan base.
So I'm going to just eliminate one of my not top 10s. It wasn't that moment. But it's just what I wrote here is just like the bounce passes, all of them.
Yeah.
They were cringe. That was one of my not top 10. And it's not the same as yours, but it's kind of is. I just want to piggyback right on what you just said. It's all of the bounce passes. They were cringe. It was like funny once when Watke made fun of it. And then Berhalter kept doing it. It's like, dude, it's not funny anymore. And then he goes to Alexi Lala's show, does that stupid clip right there. I wish Alexi would just go and like, dude, you're full of shit. What are you doing here? I mean,
but he's acting like it's imprisonment, and they clearly planned that because they had the ball ready.
Oh yeah. They planned it, and someone said, "Wow!" If you notice the clip, someone's like, "Wow!" It's like,
but was it a sarcastic wow? Was it like, wow? Like what levels have we descended to?
Like kind of like a wow. What the
like,
fuck
how
is
when a
wrong with
woman
this
says
guy?
wow, like you say something to your girl that she doesn't like and she goes, wow. That's not her being impressed. That's her being like, I can't believe you just fucking said that to me. That's what I think the wow was, but I could be wrong.
And then Cubo Maker saying, "Bruh, that was hard to. It is hard to watch." I ended the clip earlier, by the way.
Yeah. Oh,
I ended it. There was another like 30 seconds. I was like, enough of this. That's enough. We've seen enough. Juan Sex Fitty Juan is saying Gregg Berhalter's early love of Bradley's Fossil at CDM and Tyler Adams at right back. Don't forget Will Trapp at CDM.
Will Trapp and Jackson Ewell.
Jackson Ewell lasted longer. Jackson Ewell was all the way through 2021.
He was in that. Remember that Gold Cup game against what was the first game we played? Cuba?
No, not Gold Cup. He started Jackson Ewell in 2021 Nations League, I think, semifinals.
Yes,
Musa
he did.
was bench or Leggett started, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. No, he started Leggett, McKennie, and Ewell against Honduras in the semifinal of the 2021 Nations League. But in the 2021 Gold Cup, which happened after that, the opening game, remember Zardes? It wasn't Zardes. It was Sam Vines scored that 1-0 goal in the opening game. Jonathan Lewis and Jackson Ewell both started that game. Actually, Jackson Ewell came on frequently during that Gold Cup. He still had him involved.
Yeah, this guy. But anyhow, so mine was the bounce passes. So I already ticked it. So I already had 3 done. I'm going to go to my 4th already. My 4th Berhalter, not top 10. and it's going to be the World Cup roster. But one thing specifically, and I'm not going to go into the MLS players specifically because that one's too obvious. It was like the guys that he brought in, his vibes guys. This mother liquor goes to the World Cup and he builds a roster with 4 right backs, not 2, not 3, 4 right backs. Shaq Moore, Dest, Scally, and Yedlin. And then you might be saying, well, some of them are the backup left backs. Sure, you can bring 3 right backs that Dest or Scally. He brought 4 right back. He could have just cut one off, which is a bit weird. If he brings like 4, just cut one off.
How about you bring another striker like Pepe?
Or how about, because he loves saying everything's a stepping stone for 2026, right? The Copa America was a stepping stone for 2026. Why not bring a young player, Johnny, Pepe, Tillman, to have that World Cup baggage and experience in 2026?
Yeah.
But this, oh God, it just pisses me off still. He brought 4 right backs.
Also, Pepe was scoring goals in the Netherlands at that point. Like some people say, oh, Pepe didn't deserve to go to the World Cup. Yeah, actually he did, guys. He was playing for the worst team in the Netherlands and still scoring goals for them, Groningen. So he did deserve to go to the World Cup. It's absurd that he didn't bring him and brought 4 right backs.
Mm-hmm. What's your next Berhalter not top 10?
My next one is a common refrain that we refer to, and it was after a trip to the zoo. Okay, it was during World Cup qualifying. They went to the Cincinnati Zoo, and you just know Berhalter was there with his notebook at the zoo, thinking about like what metaphors from our zoo day can I use in my pregame speech in the locker room. And he was so proud of this metaphor, and U.S. Soccer was so proud of it, they put it in the behind-the-scenes video on Twitter, and that's the only way we even know about it. But
should I play it, Pete?
Huh?
Should I play it?
We should play it. We should play it. I don't even need to say it. Play the video. Play the video.
Okay, everyone, you guys are getting a treat today, man. First, it was the Berhalter bounce pass with Alexi lesson. Now you guys are about to see his African dog speech. I think this one's better than the Alexi bounce pass, dude.
Oh, yeah. It's even more cringe. And look at the players' faces.
All right, everyone ready?
The last 3 days.
Wait, hold on.
Something I couldn't get out of my mind, guys, for the last 3 days. Right, was when that zoo guy was talking about the African dogs, man. How they hunt. Remember how they hunt? They hunt as a pack. They don't stop, man. They keep running until their prey falls down in exhaustion, and then they go for the kill. Tonight we are dogs. We sick the dogs. Are you ready? Let's go. On 3 USA, boys. 1, 2, 3. USA!
Just killed the aura of the team right there.
What game was this before? Do you remember? I don't remember which game this was. I don't remember. But
no, I like when he's like, there's something I can't get off my mind the past 3
days. For 3 days.
It is like that zoo guy.
So he went to the zoo, and then for 3 days he was thinking, like, what did we learn from the zoo? Like a kindergarten teacher, right? Like that's like something a kindergarten teacher. Remember, kids, when we went to the zoo?
Dude, the worst part is you have a game that I'm assuming is important. This is probably, I don't know what the game was, but Bucio's there. I don't remember what game that was. But
this was against Mexico, which we actually won that game.
So it's definitely not a friendly. And then this guy's like, for the past 3 days, I can't get the zoo guy off my head.
He's not thinking about how to beat. To be fair, guys, we beat Mexico. We would have beat Mexico without this speech. I promise you. I promise you this was not the speech that beat Mexico. That was one of the most cringe moments for me. And you could see it in the players' faces, too. Did you see Chris Richards? He's just like looking down the whole time, like, please shut up.
Let me, I'm not going to play it again, but let's just see the players. The zoo.
Look at them. They're all looking down like, what? Look at Mark McKenzie's face. Look, Ferreira. Is that Ferreira on the right?
Yeah.
He's like, what? What are we talking about?
Mackenzie's trying not to laugh. Look at Mackenzie's trying not to laugh.
He's like, the fuck is he talking?
He's like, trying not to laugh. I can't get that zoo guy off my head.
Everyone's just down. You know what those remind me of? You know when you're in school and your teacher says like something that has a double meaning, but they don't know it, right? Like the teacher says, we're going to go in hard on our whatever. And then you're like looking down, like trying not to laugh because the teacher doesn't. That's what that looks like. They're like, oh my God, don't laugh. Don't laugh.
It's what's the name? It kind of looks like an episode of The Office.
Yes, like something Michael Scott would say.
But anyhow, that was Berhalter's African dog speech. That's a classic one. That's a great one. My other one, I'm not going to pull up anything on screen. My other one was Berhalter when he lost to Canada away 2-0, and then he claimed it to be a dominant loss. And we even had I don't know where the clip is, but even Stephen A. Smith was calling him out. He said he gave him the stinky eye. Gave him the stinky eye.
He's like, you gonna tell me? I don't know that's what he sounds like, but you gonna tell me you were dominant? I'm gonna be looking at you sideways or something like that.
He was like the stinky eye. He gave Berhalter the stinky eye, and Stephen A. is hilarious. But again, the dominant loss to me was another Berhalter one. It's not as funny as the bounce pass with Alexei. It's not as funny as the African dogs, but it was definitely worth putting Gregg Berhalter in the not top 10 Berhalter list. What's your next one?
Well, I'll just say real quick about that. That was also the game where he started Zardes up front again against Canada, even though Sargent was scoring, had just scored a brace in the Premier League. We started Zardes. And also, Joe Scally, if you remember that camp, Joe Scally had been starting for Gladbach for 6 months at that point as an 18-year-old, and he brought Brooks Lennon over Joe Scally.
Oh, I remember that.
Remember this because we were in Kansas when the roster dropped, and that same day, Sargent was playing in the Premier League, not well, but Norwich were a terrible team. He's still miles better than Zardes. Didn't call him up. And also, we were like, this motherfucker brought Brooks Lennon over Joe Scally. But yeah, just another reminder of that game. Gosh, there are so many. Let's see. I'm going to pick a good one here. Oh yeah. The MLS stadium's excuse. So when he was over, like doubling down on all of these, like I remember ignoring De La Torre for the first half of World Cup qualifying because he wanted to get Leggett and Yule and Roldan into his rosters. And I think somebody asked him in a press conference, there's a lot of questions about a lot of these MLS guys. What do they bring to the table? And with a straight face, Gregg Berhalter said, these guys, they know the MLS stadiums, and that's important, And I'm just sitting there like, what are you talking about? First of all, a lot of the guys who play abroad had played in MLS stadiums. Second of all, it doesn't matter. Where the exit is, where the bathroom is. What does that have to do with anything? The excuses that came out of this guy's mouth about how the MLS guys knew the MLS stadiums and that was somehow going to help us. I was just like, what?
Yeah, I was trying to find here if I could get the actual statement. I remember that he was using the stadium as an excuse for the MLS guys. I think he said they know the stadium. In the stadium, he said something else. The stadium have a lot of verticality.
Yeah, the stadiums have vertical. It was just like, what is this guy saying?
It's when he was going through the verticality phase. He would just say verticality for everything.
Yeah.
Everything was verticality. It's like, why did you play that player? Oh, because he brings a lot of verticality.
He said that about Paulie Nips a lot.
A lot, yeah. A lot. Vertical nips. But everyone, make sure you hit the like button if you're happy that Berhalter is out. I'm pretty sure just by saying that I got everyone to hit the like button in this video. There's not a single soul that's not happy, unless Berhalter's watching this, which I'm assuming he's not. And then the next one that I want to put out here, is this one. The Berhalter selfie against Honduras. And Chris Gary's actually in the chat right now. And what happened in this game was the U.S. was playing Honduras. We almost kind of like froze their goalkeeper to death in this game. Gave him hypothermia. The dude went to the hospital. I think there was another player too. Anyhow, we put Honduras to play in the worst conditions possible. Berhalter thought it was awesome. He was defending it. I think he even played a role on choosing that, right?
Yeah,
and
he admitted to playing a role and choosing it.
Yes, and then he, in the middle of the game when we were up 3-0, at the 82nd minute, 81st, he took a selfie with the fan. And many people were saying, whatever, like, what's the big deal, right? What's the big deal if, what's the name, that he's going to, wait, what? People are saying Gio Reyna's going to it. No.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that. Where are they seeing this? Because I'm on Twitter and I don't see it.
Yeah, we'll go to that in a second. So the issue with this is just shows how much of a clown Berhalter was to take this selfie. It's like he was saying, it is disrespectful. It says on Chris Gary's tweet, it is extremely disrespectful to take a selfie with the fans right there. I'm not saying I would agree with this here, the Jeffrey Dahmer thing, but we're going to put the picture itself. Gregg Berhalter right here in the middle, taking a selfie with, I guess, fans in the middle of the game when the U.S. is up 3-0 against Honduras in World Cup qualifying. It's a bit disrespectful to the fans and just a bit of a clown moment from Gregg Berhalter. And that's another one for me. Which one's for you, Pete?
I will take his moment after we lost to the Netherlands in the World Cup. And one of the excuses that he made is, Louis van Gaal. Forget that Louis van Gaal clowned Berhalter in his press conference. This is about Berhalter saying the reason we can't beat the Netherlands is because we don't have a player of the caliber of Memphis Depay.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, he mentioned his Champions League experience. Okay, Memphis Depay was a substitute player for Barcelona. Never mind that we had a Barcelona substitute actually starting, but I don't think anybody told Gregg Berhalter, or for some reason he didn't know that. Pulisic had just won the Champions League the year before, and not only won it, but actually played a pretty significant role in Chelsea winning the Champions League, particularly against Real Madrid in both games in the semi-final, as well as winning man of the match against Porto, as well as scoring a goal against Atletico Madrid in the second round. So,
assist against Atletico. Assist, right?
No, he scored. In the 4-1 win, he scored, I believe.
I thought it was an assist in transition against it. Well, anyhow, he got goal contributions.
It was a goal contribution. And Pulisic had played in the Champions League since he was 17 with Dortmund. So he had 5 years in the Champions League, including winning it. And Memphis Depay has never been this amazing player. He kind of actually underwhelmed as a player. And that whole season, Depay had 4 goals. That entire season. So Berhalter trying to make it sound like we don't have a player like Memphis Depay, so we can't win these games. And remember, he did the same thing. This was a little more reasonable. But he did the same thing after the Colombia game where he talked about Darwin Nunez. He has this habit when we lose a game of making the opponent seem like a god, right? So instead of going like, didn't we find a way to stop these guys? He's going, oh, these guys are just too good. Like, what are we going to do? It's a loser mentality. It's a loser mentality, and it's not accurate. Look at Hervé Renard at halftime. Okay, they're losing to Argentina.
With Messi.
And Hervé Renard is not going, guys, I get it. Look, Lionel's hard. He's getting mad at the players for not getting stuck in and keeping almost near prime Messi quiet. The difference in mentality is just so fascinating to watch. But I think that's what it was for me. The glazing of Memphis Depay like he was some world-class player, which he was not.
Mm-hmm. The other one for me, a not top 10 moment from Berhalter, is something that the media very often likes to praise him for. And this will be my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 7th. And then I have 3 more. It's qualifying to the World Cup, but how we qualified on goal differential. I think that the constant praise, like he got us back to the World Cup. This U.S. men's national team squad should have qualified with some comfort to the World Cup. But we qualified on goal differential. And then we would have gone to a interconfederation playoff against New Zealand, which I think we would go through. But who knows what would have happened. So that is a not top 10. The way he qualified to the World Cup, the context matters. Because you see the media very often just saying he made it to the World Cup. And sure, what matters is qualifying to the World Cup. But how you got there in terms of like the performances is a good measurement of how you're going to perform in future tournaments and everything. And that's what we got. Pete, before you give us your 7th, let me just go through some of the super chats here because I didn't go through any. GhostCar21 saying, ISTG Gregg Berhalter tactics make me want to try meth. Yeah, don't try meth at all.
No.
Alex Better saying, there's a post on Reddit trying to gaslight people that Gregg Berhalter is a good coach. USSF is on full damage control. Never met a Gregg fan IRL. Look, Alex, that's one of the reasons why we decided to do the stream. We wanted to remind everyone of a lot of the moments, and we're not going to mention all the moments. When this stream is over, go to the comment section and put your top 10. It can be some that we said already, but we probably forgot a few. It's just there were so many bad moments during this cycle that it's kind of insane, and so many cringe moments too. Cubo Maker saying streams should come with a cringe trigger warning. We could have put more videos, man, of Berhalter, and it would have been a lot worse. Gregg Berhalter saying He's saying I'm not happy. You shouldn't be, Greg. You shouldn't be happy, Greg. Pete, what's your 7th there?
So my seventh here, it's an often not remembered one, but when we were losing 1-0 to Mexico in the Gold Cup final of 2019, this was this motherfucker's response. He pulls off Tim Ream, who was playing left back, right? And he brings on none other than Daniel Lovitz.
I put it on screen because that was my next one too. I'm ticking it already.
Daniel Lovitz is not even an attacking fullback. It'd be one thing to bring on an attacking fullback. He did not. He brought on Daniel Lovitz. And by the way, Anthony Robinson was brought. This is another thing. I'm just gonna push back real quick. Sometimes people say, "Oh, Greg brought in all these young players, gave them their first opportunities." First of all, A, he had to. There was nobody else. 2, he actually did not. Do you know who brought in all the young players first? Dave Sarakin. Do you guys remember? This is who Dave Sarakin gave debuts to: Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, Anthony Robinson, Tim Weah, and Josh Sargent. Those 5 guys got their U.S. men's national team debut under Dave Sarakin before Berhalter even got there. So this business of he actually brought in all these young, no, he did not bring in all these young players. Okay, these guys were there already. But yeah, that's my Daniel Lovitz, and then surprised why we didn't beat Mexico. Like what?
Mm-hmm. Yep, we lost to Mexico. That was the Gold Cup final of 2019. That was another one I was going to mention. So I'm going to skip. I only have 2 left that I want to go through, and then we're probably going to end the stream. One is quite obvious, is the Reina saga. The Reina saga post-World Cup. Because here's the thing. What Daniel and Claudio Reina did, that's not anything to do with Berhalter right now. But what I want to talk about specifically what Berhalter did. First, he failed to manage Gio Reyna throughout the World Cup. We can talk about Gio all we want, about his ego. Not excusing that. Gio also has to behave. But players have attitudes. Good players have attitudes. And you have to know how to manage that and keep that within the group and still be able to play that player. And it's very weird because throughout the World Cup, he said they managed that with Gio, and then he continued to punish Gio. Also, why are you telling Gio Reyna, one of the best players in the team, that he's going to be in a limited role? Why are you even telling him that? Like, just like, Gio, be ready to play. You might play a lot. You might not play a lot. Be ready to play. And then we didn't get many more details. But the biggest issue with all of it was everything that happened after simply happened because Gregg Berhalter went into a leadership conference and bragged about how he, how he handled the situation of Gio Reyna with the leadership council and how we were close to sending this player home. He bragged about it in the leadership council that he claimed he thought it wasn't going to get out there. But dude, the moment you brag about that to like 30 people, it'll get out. And then people look into it. They'll know who it is. So there's no excuse for what the Reynas did. And even for Gio's bad attitude in the World Cup, there's no excuse for any of that. But everything that happened, Gregg Berhalter brought it upon himself right after.
Yeah.
Again, no excuse for what Claudio and Daniel Reyna did. No excuse for Gio acting the way he did during the World Cup. But Berhalter made it explode after. Just because he had to brag about it. He just had to do it. And that's my second to last. I'll give my last one very soon. What's yours?
My second to last is not so much a one moment thing. Well, I guess it's both. It is the Panama game in the Copa America, and it's crucial for several reasons, right? There's several things that he did wrong. Remember how we always said, how come Greg has never experimented with a back 3 or a back 5, right? Because at some point in a tournament, you might want to use a back 3 or a back 5, and it might make sense to experiment with it in a friendly. But he never experimented with it once, right? And then against Panama, when we're down a man, he thinks that is the time to now play in a back 5, having never used it with this team before. So it's like, I don't understand. We've been asking you to do this to at least experiment, and we can see if it works. You don't do it, right? And then you decide in a very crucial moment to do it. But it wasn't just that. It was pulling off an attacker like Gio Reyna when we actually could have still beat Panama. It was bunkering so low. Starting in the 40th minute, we were bunkering. 30th minute even. We bunkered for 60 minutes with 10 men, and I knew that wasn't going to work. You cannot bunker for that long. You're going to exhaust the players. You're giving the opponent way too many opportunities. And sure enough, we ended up losing that game. And that's really the game that got us knocked out of Copa America. It was a complete mismanagement. Sure, Tim Weah's fault for being sent off. But just like we saw when Serginho Dest got sent off in Trinidad and Tobago, he was unable to manage a team going up against some difficult circumstances.
Pete, I've talked to many coaches that worked professionally in Brazil throughout my life. And I'll tell you one thing, when you go man down, they all say one thing in common. The main thing you do is strengthen that midfield, or at least keep the midfield as strong as it is. That's the main focus when you get a red card. Obviously, if it's a defender like a right back, you get a right back in position, but you keep that midfield strong when you're man down. That's crucial. Gregg Berhalter seems to not know how to play when we're man down. We got Exhibit A of that against Trinidad away, where when we went man down on that game, which was Dest, he had to get a right back in. That's fair. But he was playing with two players up top. That was the perfect moment to remove Pepe, keep Gio so you can keep possession in the midfield and keep that midfield strong, to control the tempo of the game, and then put a right back. And he took out Gio, weakened the midfield, left two players up top, God knows why, in that game, allowing Trinidad to pull a 2-1 win. The other one was this game. You kind of already talked about it. We're man down against Panama, and he weakened the midfield again. I don't know if you remember this. He put Gio out wide. He took a midfielder away. He weakened the midfield again. If anyone that watched Colombia versus Uruguay yesterday got a one-on-one lesson, it was literally teaching us how to handle when you're man down. Colombia went man down late in the first half against Uruguay, a very good team. What do? They took out John Arias, the winger. They put a right back. They kind of congested the midfield and just let Diaz keep fighting for the ball up top. They didn't bunker. They created chances. They were dangerous in transition because they kept one guy high up the field, but they really let that midfield stay really strong. They played like a back five almost at one point, but anyhow, they showed us how to play, or at least they showed Berhalter. Berhalter never knew how to do that. Every time he was tested with his in-game management, he pulled an Amber Heard and shit the bed every single time. My last one for Berhalter, and I'll go through these two super chats, and I'll show my number one, not top 10 of Gregg Berhalter. Wuxia Games saying, Gregg Berhalter saying he was better than Van Gaal before the round of 16. I don't remember him saying that.
I don't remember that either.
Yeah, I don't remember him saying that. Ed Tuazon saying, Gregg put more efforts in picking his game sneakers than picking lineups. I don't know, man. A lot of the lineups could have picked themselves. I feel like he put in a lot of effort to make those lineups shit.
Yeah.
Put a lot of effort.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did put a lot of effort with the sneakers. My number one is this one. This one here. This is deep picture. And this is the last thing we'll remember Berhalter for. You're playing Uruguay at home, 64 minutes. The game is 0-0. If you win, you will probably qualify, like 90% chance qualifying. If we had 1-1-0, we would have qualified, right? Yeah, we would have. If we got a 1-0 win. And then during a set piece for Uruguay's attacking the United States because Bolivia and Panama tied, which means if we tied Uruguay and that score had stayed as it was, 1-1, we would have advanced. And this guy with a loser mentality, he simply distracts his own team, tells them to score the other game, shouting it during a set piece for Uruguay. And the funniest thing out of all of this, was that Uruguay scored in that exact set piece.
Yeah.
And I think that's something Berhalter deserves. And people should talk about it because they're going to keep blaming Tim Weah for the punch. Like, we only got group because Tim Weah threw a punch.
Yeah. Very
true. But is this going to be ignored? Well, it wasn't ignored. Most people pointed out. This right here is ridiculous. And I'm not going to lie to you, Pete. There were a lot of mistakes that Berhalter made that I've seen stupid coaches make. This right here?
Yeah.
I hadn't seen it before. I've never seen a coach shout in the middle of a dangerous set piece, the score of another game, distracting the whole team or whoever was looking
so now you're thinking about the score of that other game instead of where's my man?
Well, and also, why wasn't the plans like, guys, we win. We don't care about the other game. We go for the win. Go for the win. Oh, what's the score? It doesn't matter the score of the other game. Go for the freaking win, and we're going to go through. Believe and go through the win. All of a sudden, he's like, oh, shit, now we can go for a draw. Idiot, don't go for the draw. What if Panama scores a late goal against Bolivia? You can't rely on that.
No.
It's different if they played earlier and you came into this game like, listen, guys, we can advance with the draw, so let's play it safe. because you already know the result. You don't know the result, the final. You could literally just go, hey, let's hold the draw now. And then Panama scores a goal at the 90th minute. You're like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
This guy, like this right here, this picture to me is the picture of the Berhalter era to me. This was the perfect way to end the Berhalter era because this just shows how much of a loser this guy was.
Yeah. No, it was a disgrace, a real disgrace. Look, there's so many more that we could go through. I'm just going to, my last one is his response to Giovanni Reyna saving his job. Against Jamaica, Reyna was on the bench. Maybe you could say justifiably. I didn't agree with it, but you could justify it because of the lack of playing time at Nottingham Forest. But he comes on in the second half. Jamaica score a very lucky own goal, and then it's 1-1. Now, could have gone to penalties. Couldn't, if we hadn't scored, penalties is a crapshoot. You don't know which way that's going to go, particularly with Matt Turner's form. But Giovanni Reyna gets 2 gorgeous assists playing as a 10, as an attacking midfielder to save his job. After a year in which Giovanni Reyna had been playing since Hudson and BJ as an attacking midfielder and had gotten multiple goals and assists and proving his value to the team. And Gregg Berhalter's response after that game, despite praising Reyna, after that game, he decides to play him as a deep-lying midfielder, getting him as far away from goal as possible, is literally the worst use of Giovanni Reyna. You're better off having him on the wing because at least he's in the attacking third. Now you've got him so far back that, sure, he can help in the build-out, but that's a terrible use of Giovanni Reyna. Giovanni Reyna needs to be high up the field, whether you think that's wide. I don't think he should be wide or central. He needs to be in the attacking third. That's where he's most effective, and that's where he can combine with Pulisic and with Balogun, who are our 3 most talented players. But instead, he drags him all the way back, tries to play him as some kind of a regista, which is not his role. That is the most bizarre, literally he's doing something well, you take him off it. I'm going to also include set pieces. Not letting Giovanni Reyna take set pieces and giving them multiple. Even Matt Crocker mentioned in his outgoing interview that we haven't gotten better at set pieces. Did you see that in the article? He was like, there were some metrics for Gregg Berhalter. One of them was to create more chances and also do better from set pieces, and he didn't do it. Yeah, because he kept letting Pulisic take set pieces. So
Sure, no. So those are our not top 10. We already went through them. You can go back on the stream if you want to. But here's one that Wuxia Game Central is saying. Gregg Berhalter said, I beat Van Gaal before. He pretends to forget, claims Gregg Berhalter. But Berhalter said Netherlands Louis van Gaal is only pretending to forget the time that he beat while as a player for Sparta Rotterdam, and Van Gaal was managing Ajax. So I think, look, this one I'm not going to really complain. Berhalter seems to just be like joking around, like as a player, right? He didn't say he was better than Van Gaal. He was just saying, as a player, I beat him. It's like, that's fine. Like a little trash talk is fine. Like we don't like Berhalter, but again, we can't just beat him up on anything.
Plenty to criticize him for without that.
Michael's saying number 11 beat his wife. Yeah, there was the incident that he picked his at the time girlfriend, now wife, 30 years ago. That was part of the Reyna drama. That is definitely a not top 10 for Berhalter. I just wasn't going to get into it because it wasn't during his time as a U.S. men's national team coach.
Right.
Austin Leon is saying Gregg Berhalter never coached to win. He coached not to lose. I think that's partially why we play so soft. Could be true. I don't know what exactly he tells the players, but we've very often looked defeated. That is true. FIFA Rig saying USA needs an Argentine coach like Colombia and Venezuela. Yeah, before we close the stream, that is true. Argentina does produce a lot of good coaches. And we saw that in the Copa America. We've seen it because they have coaches going to Europe that are very successful. If there's one thing that Argentina is really good at, is producing coaches. They have talented players too, but they produce, unlike Brazil. Brazil produces talented players and shit coaches. They're terrible.
Not so much for the coaches, huh?
No. AJ410 say, will you guys be on the straight red card tonight? Guys, I will not. I need a rest. I need to finish the Copa America preview, the final preview, and I'm going to Miami for the final. So I need a rest. I think Pete also needs to rest, right?
I also have to work on a stream that I'm going to do tomorrow about future coaches, probably. So
guys, we need to work on our own stuff and then get some rest. But we're probably going to do some collabs with them throughout the month.
And you guys should definitely go watch Straight Red. They're great guys and they do good content. So go watch and subscribe.
Yes, support them as much as you can, and I'm sure we're going to be doing work with them. Everyone, don't forget to drop a like right now before you go. It helps the channel quite a bit. I appreciate everyone that's been here. Let's move on from Berhalter now. Let's start talking about future coaches. 2026, the Olympics. The Olympics is coming up.
You have
should
the
be
Olympics
excited.
and the Under-20 CONCACAF Championship coming up. It looks like, I just saw on Twitter, Nimfasha Berchimas was called up to the Under-20 roster. You remember him from the Under-17s, a young Charlotte winger, interesting player, somebody to watch potentially.
Yeah, so everyone, there's a lot to be excited about. Thank you, everyone that tuned in. And when I close this stream, drop in the comment section your Berhalter not top 10, or at least the worst moment from the Berhalter time as a U.S. men's national team coach. Let us know in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching, everyone. Drop a like if you just watched this, and have a great day. Bye-bye.